Hi everyone and welcome to Flosstube number 23, and today is gonna be a shorter video because it's only been 4 days, but I do have a lot of progress on my only whip. But first, if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for returning. I really love that you spend some time with me. It warms my heart. And if you're new here, hi, my name is Marika. I am from Stockholm, Sweden, where I live with my boyfriend and my 2 cats, and this channel is all about cross-stitching and sometimes other things, but mostly about cross-stitching. So let's jump into it. I don't have an agenda for today because we're just gonna get through this. The first project, the only project, my work in progress is Fizzy Moon. This is what it's going to look like. It is from World of Cross Stitching magazine 229, the June 2015 issue. This is how far I have come. This is over 75% done. So I'm almost done with it. I still have some white, grey and a nose on the bunny. Otherwise, this is done. And the outlines, of course. They don't take as long as time you think. But yes, the outlines, oh, like this. This is stitched on 14 count White Aida with the shorted DMC. Super simple, quick. Really fun. I have a big project that I want to make from this, so I want to finish it so that I have it in my stash for when I want to start the big project, so I don't have to kind of, if I get that energy of going, this is already done. This is why I also am completely monogamous to this. I do have a little tip for you that has to do with it, and that is I have been able to get the pattern for this into Markup RX, and I thought I'd tell you how I did. So, as I said, this is from the World of Cross Stitching magazine issue 229. I have gotten it from the World of Cross Stitching app, which, by the way, I now have linked in the description down below, both to the iOS and the Google version. So you have the opportunity, if you like it, there is linked down there, so you don't have to go and look for it. For the iOS app, I do not know if all of these functionalities exist in the Google app, don't know. Also, you might be able to do this also with Pattern Keeper together with the app. I don't know, because I don't have Android and I don't use the Google App Store. I'm doing this with the iOS app for the World of Cross Stitching and the iOS app for our Markup RX. That is how I did it. So in the app, when you go into the app and you go into a magazine, it's like flipping in a magazine. If you have your phone or your iPad in the landscape mode, you will get 2 pages. So it's really like every time you do this, you flip a page and you get the 2 sides of those pages. It's really just like looking in a magazine. But you can also zoom on the patterns, so you have a couple of those things that makes it a little bit easier, so you can stitch directly from the app. However, you can also print the prints. Up in the corner there is a symbol that looks like this. That is the little symbol for your printer. But there's another tip. If you push that, you will get the printer window. In the top of the printer window, you can also find the share button, which means that you can also save this as a PDF in your files. You can mail it to yourself. I think you can send it in like Messenger and stuff also. Not sure about that, but I think you can. But what I did was I used the files part of my iPad in the iCloud. I used the iCloud part of it and I just put it in iCloud. And then I went into my Markup RX and loaded it as a PDF You have to, there's a couple of steps to get it to look the way you like. It's not very complicated, but in the end you can use it just like you use Markup RX or something like Pattern Keeper. It's amazing. I think my three favorite things with it. The first one is because this is magazines and they're printed, you also have the margins. So if the pattern, like the pattern for Fizzy Moon, is on 2 separate pages, you have those white margins between those patterns in the magazine app. So it's a little bit hard to kind of line up. You can use a plastic ruler if you want to, but like just visually, sometimes you miss how they're supposed to line up. But if you have it in the Markup RX, you can now get it in a full view. So it takes page 1, page 2, and it puts it together and you can see the whole thing at once. It works great. It works awesome. So that's feature number 1 that I really enjoy. Feature number 2, I actually know how many stitches the project is in, which I didn't know before. I didn't know that it was that many, and I'm really happy that I was able to kind of figure that out. So now I know that it's over 8,000 stitches in the Fizzy Moon, and I also know that I'm 77% done. That is the third part. I can actually track my progress. I can actually know how much I have left of a project. If I'm like, oh, there's only 2% left, I can kind of play with it a little bit. What I do not like with the Markup RX, and why I still use the app for certain things, is that when you mark off your symbols, it will hide any outlines. So with this one, there's a lot of backstitching, and the places where I marked off the cross stitching, it can be hard to see those lines. And also because it's a grid on top of a grid, it can also distort that a little bit for your eyes, and therefore I go into the app, the World of Cross Stitching app, for any backstitching, because it's much clearer there where the backstitching should go. And that really like the zooming feature there, because you can really get up and close to those backstitching and not having to guess where they are going. But yeah, that's the tip of the day. Then we have the kind of drive of the day. I don't know, something that drives me into cross stitching or projects. So mojo is a thing, emotional you. You will always have days when it's less fun to cross stitch than other days, and I like to keep myself motivated. I did for a very long time work with challenges when I was doing all of my Heaven and Earth designs back in like 2018, 19 I think, maybe a little bit in 20. I joined a Facebook group, a Facebook challenge, and it was all about how many stitches you stitched, and there were little games in it. It was a lot of fun. I kind of got a little bit burnt out in the end of it, but it was a lot of fun, and I actually got a few of my Heaven and Earth designs finished. However, because I got burnt out, I'm a little bit afraid of going into a group like that to kind of drive me. However, the friend that I had with me to the fair a couple of weeks ago, her mother actually set up a challenge for her and her sisters, and they were nicely to invite me to play too. They have 25 prompts, and these are prompts for multiple different kinds of crafts, and I am a multi-crafter. I not only do cross stitching, so for me this is a little bit of fun. You have 25 prompts, and you want to check off every prompt. You only know the prompts. The prompts will in the end be on a bingo board, but you don't know the numbers. So you have to choose a prompt, create the prompt, do the prompt, like finish your project, then you can check it off, then you get a number and you can place your prompt on your bingo board. So that is really fun so far. I have one prompt, and that is a gift, because I finally gave away those wall hangings that I showed you last week. One of the prompts in that list is Lent. If you don't know what Lent is, basically it's a time where you choose to not do something that you really like. It can be not eating specific things, it can be not doing specific things. In my case, it's gonna be not shopping for craft supplies. I have a parenthesis in this. There is one parenthesis, and that is if I ran out of DMC for a active project, then I can buy up to 130 SEK, which is $13 worth of threads. And basically what that would entail would buying a thread for my project and then picking from my list of the DMCs that I don't have in my stash to come up to the $13. And the reason for the $13 is because if you buy under $13 from the shop where I usually buy my DMC threads, I have to pay extra for shipping and handling. I don't have to do that if I'm above $13. So that is my only parenthesis, otherwise I'm not gonna shop, and that is in April. And that was good because this is the story that I'm going to tell you today. It's been a day. It's been a day. I tried to record this about 5 hours ago. My camera died on me, like completely shut down and will not start again. It's an 8-year-old camera. It's not really worth fixing. However, replacing it with a newer version is very expensive. I've known about that I'm most likely gonna need to fix it because it's old. It's over 8 years, 8 or 9 years old since I got it. That version was released in 2013, so I think I had it since 2014. I'm not fully certain of that, but anyhow, I love the camera, I love how it works, so I had already decided to go with the newer version. Well, I had been kind of wondering, should I go with the newer version of what I have, which is just a plain DSLR, or should I go with a mirrorless? And after doing some research, looking at prices, I discovered that the version of camera, which is the one I'm recording on right now, which is the Canon EOS 90D, is it's better for me. A mirrorless camera with the same kind of quality as this camera has would cost me a lot more, and I'm not ready to make that move. Also, this camera can take all my lenses, and all of the other electronics that I have for my old camera also works for this camera, so I don't have to worry about that old thing. I can just use it. It has similar like things on it. It's easier to just set up. So I went to get the camera today. That was a couple of hours that I wasn't expecting to use, but I now have a new camera and it's very nice. I hope you like the content that I'm making with this camera. Anyhow, I had one thing. I have a small haul and I have a question for you. This is my last question. It's the question of today. So here's the thing. You know that I use floss drops like these. They're rectangular with a rounded corner. They're from cardstock. They're not super thick. I like this because for many reasons, and that is, one, I don't like the sound of acrylics clacking to each other. This is why I don't buy the acrylic versions. I just can't handle that sound. I'm a little bit neurodivergent, and sounds is one of those things that is very hard for me. And I like this sound. It's not too bad. So this is why I make them. I've been making them here at home. I've been laminating them at home. I've been making like the little holes and everything. And this is just pattern paper from my pattern paper stash from my card making, basically. However, I have discovered that the way I'm making them is not time efficient. It's not very good on my hands. So I am going to partly have them made for me. From a printing company, and then because of the way they make them, it's gonna be easier for me to make the holes here at home. But they will be high quality, and I'm gonna design the backs on them to have different designs and everything. It's gonna be so much fun. Anyhow, when I'm doing this, to get the prices per of these quite low, I am going to buy higher quantities, which also means that when I buy higher quantities, I make it possible for you to purchase. It's just a part of how I work. That was how I started my Etsy store in the beginning. So I make them first and foremost for me, but I'm gonna put some up in the store. Here's the thing. I started thinking about this a couple of weeks ago, so I have purchased some things online for it, and that is bookbinding rings. Now I read a whole bunch of Etsy listings for different kinds of these to try to figure out how do people sell them, how much do they go for. It's a part of kind of figuring out, will it be economically responsible to do this, or will I not earn enough money to make it worth to put them up on Etsy. That was kind of the thought. So I went through and I looked at different listings. None do exactly the way I'm doing, but how they look. And I saw that they had rings with, and I thought, okay, selling them with a ring is really awesome. I think that is how I want to do it. And I looked at the different sizes, and many of the sellers had 25mm rings. I didn't really think about the size of the 25mm rings, but I bought 50 of them because I thought, hey, if they have 25mm rings, then I can have it. But they are this big. I didn't think about it. Like, if I take a measuring tape, I can see that 25mm is small. It's like an inch. This big. Let's see. Yeah, look. The zoom on this camera, I like this camera. This is the size of them. Isn't this too small? Would you be happy if you bought like a set of drops and you would get this one? Huh? I'm not sure that I would be happy to get such a small one, but I do want to hear your opinion. I would be really interested in that if you're still here. I don't know, maybe you didn't want to hear my story about my camera. I don't know. Anyhow, I do have these. These are 50mm. However, I do think that they are slightly too big instead. Right? Slightly too big. So I did put in an order for 38mm ones to see if that is a good mid-range. But I would like to hear your ideas, your comments about it, because like, I'm buying stuff for me, but sometimes I hope other people like them too. And also, now I have like 50 of these that I haven't really figured out what I want to do with yet. Maybe do some kind of scissor fob and hanging for a scissor fob. Maybe? I don't know. Anyhow, it is time that I finish this video off so I can get it edited and up for you by 6 o'clock, hopefully. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to be honest. It's gonna be a little bit late, probably. But when this go up anyhow, then you know. Was I in time, or was I too late? Anyhow, it's time to go. I want to say thank you so much for watching. It's been really fun making this video, and I hope you enjoy the content. I will be back next Friday with a new camera. I get even more like, now I want to make all those extra content. They might be coming up to a channel close to you soon. So if you want to see that content and next week's video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, don't forget to hit that like button, and if you haven't yet commented, do you think it's too little? I don't know. Anyhow, I will see you next week. Bye!